So are you guys getting tired of the woody fragrances series of videos I've been doing on the channel? Let me know, put a comment down below if you'd like me to continue. But in the meantime, I've got another woody fragrances video for you today, and we're going to focus on woody aromatic fragrances. So if you're curious to learn about this style, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about woody aromatic fragrances. Let me know if you're familiar with the style and if you are a fan, and or if you are just learning about this particular style. Put a comment down below. So woody aromatic fragrances are fragrances that feature aromatic notes like lavender, geranium, could even feature notes like cypress, galbanum, and vetiver and things like that. Anything that's aromatic. Vetiver is also considered a woodsy note or woody note, so it's best of both worlds in one note. But it's a great collection of fragrances here. It does lean masculine, so if you're a woman and you enjoy masculine leaning fragrances, you're going to want to watch this video. But before I start the list, this is about 7 videos I've done now so far in this series. We started with woody fragrances, then moved on to woody amber fragrances, then woody leather fragrances, woody spicy fragrances, woody citrus fragrances, and then woody chypre fragrances was last week, and then finally this week we're doing woody aromatic fragrances. So I can continue doing more videos in this series. There's probably about 3 more I can come up with, and then maybe after that move into a different style. I'd like to start maybe something in the amber direction, since winter will be down the line and you can have a resource of different types of amber fragrances. But if there's another series of videos you want me to do let me know what it is. Let's go ahead and get started with this list. The first fragrance we're going to talk about is going to the house of FLORIS, and this list is done in chronological order of release date. This is the oldest fragrance that I have in the list. FLORIS is number 89, this one right here from 1951. So this is a woody aromatic fragrance. If you're into the idea of a classic style, a bit barbershop-y, kind of an old school cologne fragrance, you're going to definitely want to check this one out. Again, launched in 1951. It's a very classy, very elegant, masculine offering with lavender, neroli, orris, oranges, bergamot, nutmeg, sandalwood, cedarwood, vetiver, musk, oak moss, and rose. Really, really classy offering. Very aromatic, very woody with some citrusy touches in there as well. Wears really, really nicely on a man. This is FLORIS's number 89. Let me know if you're familiar with that house. Then moving on to the house of GUERLAIN, it's Heritage. Heritage launched in 1992, and they've got 2 different versions of it. We've got a EDT, which is the one I was going to talk to you about today. There's an EDP, and I'm praying, hoping and praying that GUERLAIN will launch a parfum edition of that one because I love it. Heritage is a great combination of woods and aromatic notes. The woods notes are like patchouli, sandalwood, and then for the aromatic notes we've got lavender, geranium, even juniper berries create the aromatic spicy touch. But then we also have amber and oak moss when it's drying down. Really classy masculine offering, probably one of my favorites from GUERLAIN. For men, it doesn't disappoint. It's a great fragrance. Love it, especially for the fact that it also has patchouli, and I love that note. It's a great, great masculine offering. So GUERLAIN Heritage in the EDT or the EDP concentration. Check it out. And again, let's pray that we get a parfum version of that because I really love parfum fragrances. But moving on to the house of... Let's see where we're going to. It's Commodity and Commodities Moss, this one right here. So Commodities Moss is like a mossy, citrusy, woody aromatic fragrance and leans a bit masculine and also green as well. So this fragrance features notes of Petitgrain, and that's where we get into citrusy touches. The Petitgrain note also creates a bit of woody bitterness and also, of course, greenness and citrusy touches, which is very, very prominent here. And we also have notes like bergamot, juniper berry, violets, elemi, amber, and patchouli. It's a great, great fragrance. If you haven't tried moss, definitely try it. Probably one of the more masculine offerings in this scent space collection of fragrances. And they also have the minus, and then they also have the plus, and I'm kind of giving you the best of both worlds with the original Commodity Moss here, the 3rd fragrance I'm talking about. Then go into the house of DIPTYQUE with Geranium Odorata, this one right here. Look at the back photo on this one. Geranium Odorata is probably one of the best examples of a geranium focused fragrance. It's a really, really wonderful, kind of barbershoppy, once again, aromatic woody fragrances, kind of lean barbershoppy to me. This one also has tonka beans, so the fact that it has tonka beans, it's the kind of fragrance that is considered an aromatic woody, kind of barbershoppy, but very fresh, very herbal, and this fragrance is paying tribute to the geranium, and it's a geranium bomb. If you like the idea of geranium, it's a really nice note that's kind of herbal, a bit floral. If you're ever into the idea of learning about fragrances, I would suggest smelling them out and about, especially nowadays that we have iPhones. We can just snap a photo and see what the flower or the plant is, and then just start smelling it. You can identify it here in this fragrance. But this has geranium, bergamot, vetiver, pink pepper, cedar, and tonka. Really wonderful offering if you don't know Diptyque's geranium odorata. I suggest you get your nose on it. It's an eau de toilette, so it wears very fresh. And if I didn't mention that vetiver is also considered an aromatic note, it's definitely considered aromatic. It's kind of grassy, very aromatic and woody as well. I'm talking about Vetiver Royal Bourbon here from the house of ORIZA LEGRAND, a very underrated, underhyped brand that I really, really love. This is a fragrance I've had for around 8 years, so it's at the very bottom here. It's a great, great offering on a vetiver fragrance, but it also has, in addition to the vetiver, mint, tobacco, thyme, juniper, immortelle, oak moss, sandalwood, lily, soil tincture, and labdanum. So eventually it does get a bit earthy and ambery when it's drying down. The tobacco has its slight smoky ashiness, but lots of aromatics as well, mixed with the aromatic touches of the vetiver, and of course it goes very woody. So this is ORIZA LEGRAND's Royal Bourbon. Vetiver Royal Bourbon is the name, the real name for that one. If you haven't tried it, please do. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is AMOUAGE's Beach Hut Man from 2017. If you don't know this one, please do check it out. It's such an awesome fragrance, really, really awesome fragrance. And for a while, the distributor had mentioned that this was discontinued, but it has now come back as well. And I'm so happy it's come back. It's probably one of the best ivy fragrances because this has a very prominent ivy note and also mint. And to me, this smells like a very unique beauty product. I don't know why I get that. Like sometimes I buy shampoos and body washes when I'm traveling outside of the USA, and they use different kind of fragrances in their products. And it kind of reminds me of one of those. It's not necessarily saying that it smells like shampoo or something, but it gives me that kind of a vibe. But either way, it's still a really, really great fragrance. I love the way this smells. But it's mint, ivy, myrrh, galbanum, vetiver, orange blossom, woods, and oak moss. It's probably one of my favorite AMOUAGEs. In fact, this might be a top 5 AMOUAGE for me. Let me know if you're familiar with it. Beach Hut Man. Weirdly named, but it's not very beachy to me, but it smells fantastic. And again, even though I have that association with these kind of European body washes and shampoos, it's a positive thing about that because I love the smells of those products when I go to Europe and buy them. So in the next fragrance, we're going to the house of INITIO PARFUMS. This is REHAB. This is another aromatic woody fragrance, but this time we're going into a little bit of a sweet direction with the fact that it has vanilla. This also kind of reminds me a little bit of the fragrances of Parfums de Marly. It's a given that it's a sister house to Parfums de Marly. But it's lavender, bergamot, sandalwood, musk, vetiver, cedar, patchouli, gaiac wood. For me, it's got a vanillic touch. It's a bit sweet on there. And if you don't like the idea of a woody aromatic fragrance all on its own and you want some sweetness, definitely try this one because it does have that kind of smooth, cozy sweetness that's under there. It kind of reminds me of Layton a little bit. What do you guys think? But either way, REHAB is really, really great from the house of INITIO PARFUMS. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is Plume Impressions Murmure d'été. This one right here. It's funny. It's not really funny actually. I shouldn't say that. It's a little disappointing that I dropped my bottle of Murmure d'été as I was carrying it home one day, and it fell on the marble floor and it just shattered everywhere, and the hallway here smelled of Murmure d'été for a long time. It did. Thankfully I have another bottle and I absolutely love this one. This creation is created by Quintambiche. It's green, woody, bitter, earthy with the notes of fig fruit, fig pulp, fig woods, cypress, davana, freesia, cedarwood, sandalwood, tonka beans. So in the end, it's fruity, it's green, it's figgy for sure, and lots of woods and aromatics here to create this really amazing creation that Quintambiche has done for us. If you haven't tried this one, do try it. Plume Impressions Murmure d'été is a really wonderful offering, and for the longest time I didn't realize that was a Quintambiche creation until I found out. It's not that I liked it not that I liked it more because it's Quintambiche, but you know, it's a great fragrance that he's created that smells fantastic, and I think it's perfect for the summertime. So another note that could be considered aromatic is the note of cannabis. You know, when it's first on the plant, it's kind of an herbal, slightly camphor, bitter herbalness. So cannabis is a very aromatic note for me. And here in Kareen's George, it's kind of center stage with Galbanum. There's also iris here, oak moss, earthy notes, violet leaves, woods, leather, rose, and jasmine. To me, this is kind of like a modern take on something like Jeffrey Bean's Gray Flannel. If you're familiar with that fragrance, check it out. I think the star notes in here are galbanum and of course violet leaves, and then of course the iris, and those notes were prominent in Jeffrey Bean's Gray Flannel. But this has the addition of that kind of strange cannabis and the earthy notes that were not present in that fragrance. So it takes it into a different direction. But for me, the idea is kind of similar. But a really great take on a woody aromatic fragrance. George by Kareen Roitfeld. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. But moving on to the House of Joram Studio. It's Arborist. Are you guys familiar with this house, Joram Studio? I was visiting Scotland around 2 years ago, and I decided to go to their store in pouring down rain. It was so rainy that day. But it was nice. They showed me around. They showed me all the fragrances. I ended up buying Paradisi, not this one, which is also kind of similar, but more lush greens and fruits. Here it's more aromatic woods and greens. Does lean masculine once again, but this is featuring notes of saffron, myrrh, Douglas fir, spruce, jatamansi, which is spikenard, labdanum, papyrus, malt, lichen, osmanthus, rose, quince, honey, magnolia, burdock, mugwort, tuberose. There's a lot going on in here. It's very complex. That's how the fragrances of Joram Studio are, and this is definitely a really great example of a woody aromatic fragrance with resins and ambery touches and leathery touches as well. If you're not familiar with this house, please check them out. They're really, really great. Complex fragrances in tiny little 30 ml bottles, and they wear fantastically. I love them. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the House of Frederic Malle. It's Rosenquer. This one right here. This is a really tough French word. Rosen, it's supposed to say the Q, cuir. I think that's how you say it. Rosenquer, it's rose and leather basically. Rose is created in this fragrance with the addition of geranium. Geranium does have these kind of rosy touches and also minty touches, and you can totally experience them here in this fragrance. It's also vegetal, kind of stemmy. It's almost like you're smelling the stems of the rose. An unripe rose, when you kind of take a whiff of it, there's a little bit of a rosiness there, but it's mostly green. That's the kind of experience it is here, and it becomes leathery. It's a really, really great example of a woody aromatic fragrance. Definitely one of the best from Jean-Claude Elaine for Frederic Malle. This is Rosenquer from the House of Frederic Malle. Then moving on to the House of Chanel. This is Chanel's Paris Edinburgh. This one right here. Probably the most masculine offering in the Les Eaux collection of fragrances. My favorite is still Deauville, but this one leans very masculine and has a note of cypress, which is very, very aromatic. Cypress is also woody, just kind of like vetiver as well, but it's a different smell. So it's cypress, juniper berries, cedar, vetiver, lavender, musk. It also has that lavender in here. The lavender is very, very prominent. It makes for a very aromatic, woody experience, and also has freshness about it. So it's a very easy wear. Les Eaux collection is what it's from, and the Les Eaux collection is like waters, kind of like easy to wear, fresh fragrances. Again, really wonderful with the aromatic woody touches, and this is definitely the most masculine in the collection. So it's a Paris Edinburgh from the House of Chanel. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. But moving on to the House of Tom Ford, it's Costa Azzurra Parfum, this one right here. This happens to be my favorite in the collection, next to the Aqua. For me, the Aqua and the Parfum were the two favorites. The main one, the EDP, was not so exciting for some strange reason. And the Parfum, even though it has the sea breeze or sea air note, it's not really, really in-your-face marine, which is what I like in fragrances. This is cypress, oud, lemons, vetiver, oak wood, sea air, and myrtle. Myrtle is another aromatic note. It's a kind of a flower that has berries. It has a kind of a very herbal, aromatic smell for a flower. Very unique smell, and here it's really perfect. Really a great take on the original, I think. It's a more thicker, denser take on the original, and of course the Aqua was very, very light. But either way, this is Costa Azzurra Parfum from the House of Tom Ford. Then going to the House of GUERLAIN, it's Vetiver Parfum, this one right here. This is a really great take on the original Vetiver, which I felt like was kind of getting very light when they had redone the fragrance for a long time. I think the original fragrance launched in the late 50s, and now the Parfum came out this year. It's a really, really great take on it. Previous edition, there was also a GUERLAIN Vetiver Extreme. The Extreme was discontinued, and that Extreme had the licorice note. They brought it back here in the Parfum edition, and I like that in this fragrance. It's vetiver, juniper berries, smoky notes, tonka beans, coriander, licorice. Really wonderful take on the original. It's a thicker, denser, longer lasting version, and I absolutely love it. I've worn so much of the vetiver, and every single bottle change I've noticed since the late 90s. So it's gone through so many different changes. Hopefully they'll stick with this particular bottle design going forward. But GUERLAIN Vetiver Parfum, really, really great take on a woody aromatic fragrance. And I'm going to end the list here with the most recent launch. This is from the house of Parfums Dusita. It's Pelagos, this one right here. And this is also a little bit of a sea breezy fragrance, but kind of aromatic and very woody. Not kind of aromatic, it's very aromatic, I would think, and also leans masculine as well for a Parfums Dusita fragrance. And Parfums Dusita fragrances, a lot of people think they lean feminine, but there's definitely a great collection of masculine leaning fragrances now. And this is a really great offering from this house. It features bergamot, let's say a cubeba, sea breeze, orris butter, white thyme, tonka beans, leather, sandalwood, patchouli. So it's very complex. It does get very aromatic. It does get very woody as well, a bit ambery and earthy when it's drying down. Really fantastic offering. We featured this in Scent Club Mystery Box number 3 recently. And those of you that bought it, what did you think of your Pelagos sample? Put a comment down below to find out. But that's the list for you guys. Woody aromatic fragrances, 15 of them. What are your thoughts on these fragrances? Are you a fan? Is there another fragrance that you enjoy that's considered a woody aromatic fragrance? Put a comment down below so I can find out. And keep me posted if you want me to do further videos on this woody series of videos I've been doing. There should be a few more styles, but let me know what you'd like to see. And then let me know what you'd like to see in the next series. Is amber a good one? I can probably do 3 more woody fragrances, if not 4. And after that, I think time for amber. Amber for the autumn and winter. But let me know if there's another series you'd like for me to do. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So last but not least, I'm going to talk to you about 2 fragrances that I wanted to feature in this video, but turned out they were already featured in the main video, the first Woody Fragrances video. First of which is Atelier Materi's Cedra Figalia. Really great take on something like Philosopher's, very modern take on it. Philosopher's has gotten really boring for me. This also has a spinach note, which is really, really wonderful. And I like that. It's a fig leaves, cedar wood, mate, spinach, basil, dry woods, fig milk, bergamot, and pepper. Really, really wonderful offering. This is a great, great figgy, woody fragrance with lots of aromatic touches. Cedra Figalia, check that out. And the last fragrance, also featured in that original Woody Fragrances video, is Cedra Noble from the House of Chabot. This is paying tribute to the cedars of Lebanon. So it's cedar with woodsy notes, pine needles, sandalwood, smoke, cardamom, nutmeg, wormwood, black pepper, red thyme. If you like the idea of a very woody fragrance, check this out. This is paying tribute to the cedar, the noble cedar. It's Cedra Noble. That's what it's called. And you're going to like this if you like the idea of a cedar forward fragrance. This is Cedra Noble from the House of Chabot. That was also featured in a mystery box over during the holidays. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching today's video. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.